Hello. So what I'm going to cover in this recording is calculating the price elasticity of demand. Now, my materials I cover on price elasticity of demand is actually going to be covered in a lecture, so there isn't an actual online recording on that, but there are very good textbook materials on this if you want to actually go and read a bit more around the topic. But what I'm just going to show you here is actually how we'd actually calculate this. Now, to be fair, you'll probably never have to calculate the price elasticity of demand, but I think it's very useful for you to understand what is actually happening here and how this actually works. So you can see here we've got some equations, and I know that will frighten some of you, but they're actually quite simple when you break them down. So first of all, if we look at that top equation, which is the equation for price elasticity of demand, you can see that the way we calculate this is we work out the percentage change, that triangle is a change, in quantity demanded divided by the percentage change in price, and that gives us our price elasticity of demand. So we can kind of break this down at the equation in the bottom, which actually sort of sets that down in terms of all the details. So what you can see is that change in quantity demanded. This is worked out by the new quantity minus the original quantity divided by the original quantity. And that gives us the percentage change in demand. And then underneath that, you can see to get the percentage change in price, we've got the new price and new P minus original price divided by original price. Okay, so if I was doing this calculation, I would, do those two calculations separately and then divide, the change in quantity by the change in price. So if we actually put this into practice, I've got some data here that was used in an earlier recording from a demand schedule. So we've got in the table here, we've got the price and we've got the quantity demanded. And, as we see, what happens here, as the price goes up, the quantity demanded goes down. And we're going to look at this, what's happening here in this change in demand here. Okay, so we're going to put this equation into practice. So we want the new quantity minus the original quantity. So the new quantity demanded is 10. So that's going in there. And the original quantity was 15. So 10 minus 15. And then we're going to divide that by the original quantity, which is 15. And then for the bottom half here, we want to put in the price details. So the new price is £10. And then we're going to take away from that the old price, which is £5, and then divide it by the original price, which was 5. Okay, and if you actually work through all that calculation, you get a value of minus 0.34. Now it's negative because obviously here at the top we're taking the quantity demanded goes down as the price rises, so we actually get a negative value here. And if you remember, the demand curve always slopes downwards, because of this idea that obviously as the price rises, we're getting a fall in demand. So we end up with a negative value there. So hopefully that explains how you would calculate this. So it's fairly simple and straightforward procedure, and gives us useful values. Now, the reason why we do this as changing quantities and we do it as proportions is it enables us to calculate elasticities of demand and enable us to compare different things. Now, one of the reasons for this is that it's a way that we can understand what the effect is of a change in price. So, as it explains here, we want to understand how big the change in price or quantity is. So, to put this in perspective, if you're thinking about, changing a price of a ticket to Glastonbury, if that went up by £1, that would be a tiny price increase. But if the cost of a can of Coke went up by £1, this is a huge price increase. And so it enables us to compare different things and look at it proportionally. So what you want to do now is obviously you will have the lecture on price elasticity of demand. So if you haven't attended that, then you would ought to review the recording of that lecture. And you also need to go and look at some of the materials after another session on price elasticity of supply.